One reason that I absolutely love living on this chunk of property that I have is the fact that there's so much wildlife around. Now, in all reality, I only have 3 acres. I live right on the outskirts of a small town here in Missouri. It's in a residential type neighborhood, but I see all kinds of wildlife, and that really brings a smile to my face. I'll go out on Saturday or Sunday in the morning, open up the garage, and right about the time the sun comes out, there's already birds of every kind perched up on the tree branches around here, chirping away. There's squirrels jumping from tree to tree. I've even gone down in the field before and seen deer down there. So I really love seeing all the wildlife around the place. And just about every one of the trees on this property has a nest in it of some kind, whether it be a bird nest or a squirrel nest. This tall tree in particular behind me actually has a nest with some baby hawks in it, so that's really neat to see. I just thought that was worth of mentioning in the beginning of this video and have kind of a softer intro than I do in a lot of the other videos. But anyways, welcome back to the garage, or if you're new to the channel and this is the first video of mine that you've seen, welcome to the garage. My name is Zane. Today's video is going to be a culmination of a few different talking points that I want to go over. The first of which, I'm going to take you and show you around some of these projects that are closer to the garage. We'll go over some updates that I have for them. I'll even take you down in the field and show you some of the property and some of the vehicles that are sitting down there that I haven't showed on camera before. You got to realize this was my grandfather's place. He had a scrap business, so there's some neat stuff sitting down there that I think that you'll enjoy. And anyways, this is also going to be a test portion, or a test video, I guess you could say. I finally upgraded my action camera. We won't go over the brand name. I'm sure you probably know what it is. They don't really need free advertisement from a guy like me, and I'm not really going to advertise products that actually have a lot of problems with them. I've already ran into one small problem already, and that's the fact that the new camera looked the same as the old one, but it was made just a little bit bigger, so every one of the accessories that I had for the old version doesn't fit on the new one.
You gotta be kidding me.
So I've got quite a few accessories ordered already. It'll probably take a week or so for them to show up. Unfortunately, that means that there'll probably be some wind noise in this video and maybe some background noise from the road that's out in front of my house. But hopefully you can still sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Before this video goes any further, I wanted to take a moment and talk about a fantastic channel here on YouTube that actually inspired me to get this old wrecker in the first place. Now that's my friend Mike over at Not For Hire. I sent Mike some stickers the other day, and he done a shout out for me. I wasn't expecting that. I greatly appreciate that, my friend. He sent some traffic my way, and I definitely want to do the same for him. Now Mike, I admire you a lot. He works for himself. He has a company that deals with a lot of campgrounds, and sometimes these campgrounds will have campers and RVs that people abandon. He will go there, get them a lot of the times for free, take them back to his house, fix them up, resell them, and make money. Now you can't blame a guy at all for doing that. He also hauls scrap. He's a big square body Chevy fan, but I won't hold that against you, Mike. He also beat me to the punch, I will admit. He ended up getting a road tractor first. He has a Freightliner cab over that he bought. It's a lot like the one from Terminator 2, the old wrecker. It's an awesome looking truck. I just watched the video today where he power washed it. I myself am trying to hold out till I find either a white 4000 or a white Road Boss. But he bought a road tractor. I can only imagine what you're going to do with that, Mike. If you're not familiar with his channel, I'll leave it linked in the video description below. Go ahead and over there if you like what you see, which I know you will. Go ahead and subscribe. Just drop down the comment section if you would, and tell him Zane sent you.
There you go, buddy. You're on the wall of fame now. But yeah, it's an appropriate truck to be on, I think, buddy, right? Rusty old truck. You got a lot of rust in that sticker, so perfect.
Slight change of plans. I recorded that intro the other day. It was mostly testing purposes for the new camera. I thought it worked out very well. I didn't want to get rid of the footage. I edited that footage up the other night. I thought it done great, so how's about we actually get some work done on one of these trucks? I've got this wrecker behind me. It's going to get parted out very soon, and it's going to donate all of its good parts to the 4-Wheel Drive International that I'm going to turn into a wrecker. I bought this truck. The previous owner actually drove it to his home, used it around his property a little bit, but he parked it because the carburetor was leaking badly. He took the carburetor off, planned on rebuilding it, and sadly never put it back on the engine. Now, the intake's been covered up, but it still had moisture get inside the engine and locked it up. When I checked the truck out, I grabbed the fan blade, tried to turn the engine over by hand, and it just wasn't cutting it. So I'm going to try to get a socket and a breaker bar, put it on the crankshaft bolt of this engine, and see if I can break it free. I've got to be very generous with the amount of power that I put on it because I don't want to break that bolt off. I'll more than likely have to take the spark plugs out and soak the cylinders down with some kind of fluid to see if this engine will get unstuck. I don't plan on using it, but if I go to sell it, if it's running, I can get a little bit more money out of it being just sitting in the truck stuck. Obviously, I will tell somebody interested in it that it has been stuck at one point in its life. It does have an engine rebuilder's tag on the side, so I don't really think there's too many miles on this engine. So let's get to work and see if I can get this engine broke free. If you plan on removing spark plugs, it's always a good habit to take compressed air and clean out around the base of the spark plug, because you would not believe how much road debris can get in around those spark plugs. You take one of them out with some dirt in it, and that dirt can fall down into the threads, or even worse, it can fall down into the cylinder. So always try to clean out around that so you won't have a headache later on. Sometimes you absolutely have to love the internet. Now, I'm not sure what size the bolt was on that crankshaft. I just about started digging through all my sockets and trying them on one by one. You go to Google, type right in what size is the crankshaft bolt on a 345, and within about a minute I found that it's a 15/16, or it's supposed to be a 15/16. So that cut a lot of the guesswork out of the equation. I'm going to go ahead and see if it actually does fit down here, see if that form was correct. We're in business. So all I gotta do is get my breaker bar, and we'll go from there and see if I can actually just turn the engine over like it is, or if I'm going to have to soak the cylinders down. Unfortunately, the socket that I showed you was a deep well, and that was interfering with trying to get a breaker bar on the crankshaft with the fan shroud getting in the way. So I had to get a shallow socket, and I got a ratchet here with a flex head. I hopefully get in there and turn this over. So let's see. So third time is the charm. I had to switch it up again. This socket was too shallow, so I put the adapter on it to a ratchet. I've got a cheater bar to put over the handle. I'll get in here and see if we can get the engine to spin over. I probably got the camera in the worst camera angle on YouTube. Let's see if I can win an award for that. Okay, so there's the socket on the crank. It looks like it moved a little bit, believe it or not. I don't think this engine might not be stuck. You know what, let me check and see. I bet you that I probably left this in gear. I'll be right back. Okay, the truck is out of gear. Let's get back in here and try to see if this will turn over again. Oh yeah. I couldn't turn it over by hand with the fan blade, but this engine will run. I've got a carburetor that I know is in good shape already. I'll soak the cylinders down just to be safe and get rid of any kind of rust that might be in them from the moisture. We'll wait a couple days and see if this engine will start up and run. I like my internationals, but I'm no kind of genius. So to keep the firing order the same without having to go and look it up, I'm going to do these spark plugs one at a time. I'll pull one out, soak the cylinder down, put it back in, put the wire on, that way I don't get them crossed. I was actually going to use Marvel Mystery Oil to soak these cylinders with, but the WD-40 has the spray nozzle on here. I can't find a funnel small enough to go into the cylinder head to put the Marvel Mystery Oil in there. WD-40 works great as well. I've seen people use PB Blaster. There's quite a few of these products that will get an engine unstuck. Since this one hasn't actually been stuck, it seems like, I'm just going to soak the cylinders down with WD-40 and we'll go from there. I'm only human, but I will admit to my mistakes whenever I make them. You're probably watching this video and you've seen just a few minutes ago how easily this engine turned over. I think that whenever I looked at this truck to begin with, it was just stuck in gear. I mean, the original owner told me that the engine was stuck. The truck was sitting on flat ground. I didn't really think much of it. I went up to it, tried to turn the fan blade over, and I didn't get nothing out of it. Well, that just happened whenever I tried a minute ago to turn the engine over again, and the truck was stuck in gear. I really don't think this engine was ever stuck at all. It broke over way too easy if it was. So I'm still soaking the cylinders down. I'm going to let this sit for a few days, and then we'll come back. I'll get that other carburetor that I've got, put it on this engine, and I think it'll start up and run. While I let the cylinders of this 345 marinate in WD-40, I figured it's time to take some accurate measurements of both of these cabs. If you're new to the build process, I'm going to transfer the roof skin as well as that awesome sun visor to the four-wheel drive truck whenever it comes time. These cabs look absolutely similar outside, but there's slight differences in them, which I will show you. I want to take some measurements just to make sure that whenever I get the skin off of this cab, it will fit on the four-wheel drive. So let me take you and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can tell from the picture, but the roof on the wrecker has a dome shape to it. It's higher in the center and lower on the front and rear. The roof on the four-wheel drive truck, however, is higher in the rear and slopes downward towards the front. The roof on this cab is in great shape. There's only one small dent back here, but there's no signs of body filler. It doesn't have any rust. I'm not a really big fan of these aftermarket cab lights, but I think I'm probably stuck with them. But anyhow, this roof is in very nice shape, but the one on the four-wheel drive truck, however, that's a completely different story. It's pretty plain to see the reason why I need to replace the roof skin on this truck. It's completely rotted out, it's falling apart, it's been welded on, brazed on, there's body filler back here in the corner, it's warped. There's been these crude patch panels put on it at one point in its past. I don't honestly think you could find a rougher panel on a four-wheel drive truck. But before I take some measurements, I just want to throw a short clip in. I'm kind of disappointed in a way. I had a good friend of mine stop by the other day and give his expert opinion on what he thought the condition of this roof was in, and it just kind of made me feel bad. His name's Phil, and whenever I asked him, what do you think about this cab, this is what he had to say.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Okay, enough of the memes and everything. I'll stop it. Let me get the tape measure out, and we'll get some accurate measurements off of the roofs of these trucks. I wrote down the measurements between these two cabs and I wanted to share them with you right now. On the four-wheel drive truck, the front seam from inside to inside is 53.5 inches, and that matches the wrecker perfectly at 53.5 inches. The rear seam, however, is 56.75 inches, and the one on the wrecker is 56 inches on the nose. The rear door frame to drip rail on the four-wheel drive is 27.5, on the wrecker is right at 27 inches. I mean, we're talking about years of difference between these two trucks. The four-wheel drive one in the background is a 1959. This wrecker's a 1976, so there's almost 20 years of difference between the two trucks. The inner structure is a little bit smaller, but whenever I measured the seam or the drip rail on the back of both of these cabs, it showed up right at 5 foot exactly between cab to cab. So I think that gives me the green light to go ahead and switch the roof skin off of this truck and this awesome sun visor onto the old four-wheel drive. That'll do it for part 1. Part 2 will come out fairly soon whenever I get it filmed. Hopefully I can get that truck running and move it under its own power. But as always, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. It truly means a lot. Always check the video description below for other fantastic YouTube channels that are out there. And as always, just a friendly reminder that it doesn't matter if you're working on your project in a garage or in your driveway. What matters is that you go out there, you do the job yourself, and you learn more about your project, whatever that project may be. Now that this video is over, how about you go outside and work on something? My name is Zane, and I'll catch you next time.